You had a business that did 2 million revenue a month.
Please welcome personal trainer and founder of Six Pack Shortcuts.
Guys, this is Mike Chang with Six Pack Shortcuts.
And you sold that?
I was at an event. I experienced a level of happiness.
Mushroom. It felt so good that the state that I was in 6 hours before felt like I was in a prison.
I had to let all that go to go and rediscover life. Where I was doing plant medicines, I didn't want to be in that moment of life. I want to exit out and feel good.
Can I ask how your sister passed away?
Cancer.
So how do you make meaning of that?
So I have to think about myself. What's the thing that really stops you from creating the best life? Me. To say that something doesn't exist is to say the creator of existence somehow messed up, when the idea of messing up is created by God.
God has been good to us today. The weather is amazing. And
we're going to be catching some sun soon.
What, we are? No way.
Yep. It's coming.
And it's going to hit both of us?
It's going to hit both of us.
At the same time?
Maybe. I've got a tree. I've got this here. You don't. So it'll probably hit you first.
Probably hit me first. All right, no worries. I'm ready for it.
Yeah.
What do you do in the mornings? When you wake up in this house, what do you do in the mornings? Do you have a morning routine?
I do, but it's not always the same.
It's not always the same.
Yeah. You know, I was, my usual routine lately has been I wake up, I come out here, I set up the cam, and then I do a practice. And then I capture it, and then later on I'm going to share it with the community, encourage them to do practice. That's what I usually do. Now, sometimes I don't even make it down here. I leave the room, I come out, say good morning, everybody, and then somebody goes, hey, can you take a look at this? We need to figure this out. And I'm right in it. Like from the moment I step out of the room. And so really just depends. Sometimes I don't even leave the room. I'm like, okay, if I walk outside, I might need to be doing something. So I'm just let me stay in the room here and let me go do some meditation, do some practice, which I do sometimes. So it just depends.
So if nobody's home and nobody wants anything from you, you come down, you meditate.
I do practice that at the end is meditation. It was the practice that we did last time.
So you do that every day?
Yep.
And is that your gym workout as well? Or do you go to the gym after?
I don't really do much gym now. Once in a while I'll do a gym. And it's just because I feel like I want to go and exert, or I really want to do certain exercises.
Got ya.
The last time I hit the gym was maybe 40 days ago.
Okay. Wow.
You know, and then yeah, I'm like this year I probably worked down the gym maybe under 20 times this whole year.
Okay. Yeah, but the other stuff, but you do body weight stuff.
Yeah.
You went from being a bodybuilder to more of a holistic body weight exercise.
Yeah.
Right? And something we did the other day was you were kind of hitting your body everywhere. Neck, face, and we're massaging the organs.
Yep.
Nobody does that. Right? That was my first time I've ever like massaged my organs, where I did that thing and I jumped and we did the kidney stuff. Yep. And it's so good because you kind of release all the pressure and the tension that you have in there, because trauma can be stored anywhere in the body.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And obviously you're in your 40s.
Yep.
And you look amazing. Right? Is there anything you do that's like, do you do like NAD? Do you do anything biohacking to reverse aging?
No, I really don't. I really don't care that I'm getting older and whatever things happens. I don't even think that much about age, really.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, you know, there's a lot of people that get into that, and that's great. For me, the way that I see it is I'm getting older, so I'm getting older. Great. I'm just going to do what I love, keep rolling with it. I'm not going to focus on the fact that I'm getting older. I'm just going to exercise, I'm going to work out, I'm just going to do this stuff. I'm just going to do the fundamental things. You know, the normal stuff that everybody knows that they need to do. You know, get enough sleep, work out, eat right. I'm going to do that. And let the age happen the way it is. You know, let the wrinkles happen. Because it's gonna happen. And I think sometimes when people focus so much on trying not to age, they end up altering their experience of life. Their experience of life becomes this constantly focusing on themselves, trying to be youthful. And it's like a person that wants to be so successful in life that they end up being successful and not happy. The culprit of this, the issue is not the success. It's nothing to do with that. Nor is it a person looking and feeling younger. That's nothing to do with it. That's fine. Look younger, feel younger, great. The issue is that a person is constantly feeling unsatisfied about themselves, unsatisfied about their life. That's actually the issue. It's not whether or not they succeed at this or get healthier. No, nothing wrong with that. But if you always feel unsatisfied about yourself, about your life, about your...
What's the point of living longer?
Yeah, I mean, you're just going to have a longer sense of unsatisfaction, you know, or you build an awesome business or build an empire and you're still not happy. You become a prison of your own castle.
Yeah. Was that you? Because you were successful. You had a business that did what, 2 million revenue a week or a month? What was the number? Tell us.
It was like 1.5, give or take, a month.
A month.
Yeah.
Was the recurring revenue?
Not reoccurring, but reoccurring, but not in membership model. But yeah.
And you sold that?
Yeah.
And now you live in Bali.
Yep. I mean, basically, we skipped a few things, but but that's basically it. I mean, I had to let all that go to go and rediscover life and learn how to live, learn how to be again. And for me, it took having to walk away from my old life so I can create something new. I can't say that's the same for every person, but for me, that's what was needed. And I remember there are times where I would think like, I walked away from all of that, like, was it the right move? But it didn't take long for me to realize, because I can see what I'm doing differently and I can feel different. And I remember how I felt like when I was building that, when I'm in it. On the outside, everything looked great, but on the inside, man, I was so stressed. I felt so much pressure. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. It wasn't going to get any better. It was getting worse, and no amounts of success was getting rid of that. And when I got rid of that, I paid attention to what did I do to get rid of it and how can I maintain it, do more of that. Because the experience of not having the stress, not having the pressure, not having fears and worries, and it's so freeing. It's a level of liberation that I wished people would experience more, because people don't know it. They have a concept of it, but most people have never actually experienced it. So they don't even know what they're missing. If you don't know what you're missing, how are you going to go after it? You don't even know that it's even there. You know a name, you know what people say about it, but you don't have a personal experience of it. How do you even miss something or lack something that you don't even ever experience? So it's like, if there's one thing that I can get people to experience, to have, if I can give it to people in that way, I wish I can put it in a pill or it will be to feel liberation and peace. And if I can just give it to them, trust me, I thought about that conversation a lot. There are times I'm sitting there going, so what happened if I just get really into mushrooms and I just pass it out like candy and just run these type of events? I spent years thinking about the concept of that. I think a lot of people have. That's why people go into, I'm going to build a business that's around plant medicines, and because I have as well. But as I started to dive into the logistics and details of that, it's like there are certain pieces that I find not yet is not right. There's got to be something else. And I moved away from that. But the concept there, though, is for people to have a glimpse. Because once people have a glimpse of what it feels like to be more peaceful, to feel free, man, you don't have to convince them to let things go. They just don't want the old life anymore because they don't want the way it feels. They They'll do whatever it takes to stay in that feeling of liberation, because nothing is better. Nothing can touch it. Nothing.
But did you never have a feeling that you need to impress your parents? You need to take care of it? Did you never have...
Oh, absolutely.
You have a burden on that you need to do something for somebody, like your parents or whatever?
Not so much for my parents. It was to prove for myself. That was the drive all my life. I needed to prove things to people, to all the people that looked down on me, to the inside. It was, I needed to prove it to myself. But I just said it was the people that looked down on me. Inside, it was myself. But that was my driving force up until I was 32. That's what drove me to work so hard. That was the internal fuel.
Ego.
Big time.
And you've let go of that now.
A lot more. We don't let go of ego completely. Because if we don't have ego, we can't tell the difference between things. There is no sense of us. There's no desire. So I still have desire. That's what gets us to do things. But I can tell you the ego has decreased small enough where I don't get emotionally triggered in things the same way. Some things will bother me. It still will. I'm not going to lie, it does. But the level of intensity is not the same anymore. For example, like, people die. It's just a matter of life, When my father and my sister both passed away, sister, 3.5 years ago. Father, about 5 years, give or take. It could break somebody. It can, somebody could really be affected. Right? It's your family. I was able to sit with it, but not have it just knock me down. I was able to feel with it, process it, and still be able to do things and not just like break down, not hold it in and react from it, because I learned how to not be so attached to things and even to life and people. It's a process. I can't say that that in the future when I die, it's just going to be smooth sailing. Don't know. Never crossed that bridge before. That not in this time yet. But I do know that my ego is very different than before. Much, much lower.
When your father passed away, how was that for you? Did you feel like now you got to be the man of the house for your whole family, for your mom?
Nah. I learned about a way of looking at life where people are responsible for their own life. Everybody's responsible for their own life. I'm not responsible for other people's lives. I have children, and someone goes, "Well, you're responsible for them, right?" Well, they're children, so I'm responsible to take care of them. But how they turn out, that's not my responsibility. But I am responsible for taking care of them. I don't have control over the person they become. Not control. I will do what I do, but I can't control the outcome. So if I want my son to be athletic and train. Great, that's what you want. Doesn't mean he's going to do it. Right? It's like, I want people to be in shape. It doesn't mean they're going to do it. I want you to eat. So there doesn't matter what I want. I'm going to go after what I want and do what I do. But doesn't mean I actually have control over the outcome of things.
Yeah.
Especially people.
Yeah.
And when he passed, people are going to die. That's just the nature of life. It's the nature of life.
How do you prepare someone now that you've gone through it, how do you prepare someone for losing their father?
People have to learn to accept themselves. Because when they accept themselves, they're able to accept other people. They're able to accept situations. When we don't accept ourselves fully, we're always trying to gain from a situation, a person, an outcome. The outcome of things, everything is an outcome. Everything we do, there's an outcome. That outcome, if it improves the way that we see ourselves, if it affects our sense of value, our worth, if it changes the way we see ourselves, then we're attached to that outcome. Doesn't matter what that outcome is. Any outcome, if it makes us somehow better in any way, we're attached to it. The more better it makes us, the more attached we are. Hey, this deal, we're going to close this deal. And it's going to be a lot of money. What's going to happen? Oh, man, when I close the deal, I'm going to be on top. Okay, like how top? Oh, man, I'm going to access everything. So your level of value is going to go through the roof. Oh, man, you don't even know. Oh, okay, good. So now, if that deal doesn't close, now this person is going to be really affected, upset. Oh, everything's going to be really low. And then when it does close, this person's really excited, emotionally high, right? It doesn't close, emotionally low. So now when it closes, great. What's next? This bigger one. Let's do it again. We're not going to win at every single deal. Some deals are not going to go through. So if a person does this, they're always going to be in this loop of high, low, and their life is high, low, high, low, high, low. And if we're high, the way we act is a certain way, right? The way we treat people, our loved ones, our partners, how we make choices in our business and life, health is different than if we're low. So then now you imagine that if we are constantly fluctuating in our state of being from high, low, high, low, high, low, then our outcome, the way we express ourselves, today I'm happy. So then the way we talk is like this. Next time I'm upset. So I'm going to go ahead and complain about all this stuff as if I'm a different person. But then next time I'm happy. So then I talk differently. We don't have any consistency in our life. Relationships involve consistency, right? I love you one day, next day, screw you. Man, you get on my nerves. Hey, honey, I'm sorry. I love you. Man, man, it's like, but that's what happens in relationships. And then you wonder why there's these issues in relationships. Now imagine that happening everywhere in people's work and because their emotions are fluctuating like that, because they're so attached to the outcome of things, because the outcome of things change the way that they see themselves. Let that go, and you let go of the whole ripple effect that it creates.
So let go of the fact that the natural progression of life is obviously your parents leaving before you, but let go of the control of being able to control that. But then at the same time, when that happens, when that phone call comes one day, which is going to happen for everyone, that's a natural progression to life, but how do you make meaning of it? I mean, you're still going to be...
You don't need to make meaning of it. It is what it is. Why make meaning of it? Look at this place. It is what it is. But now, if we were to make meaning of it, would our meaning be more truthful than what it is? When we say what it is, what is it? It's everything. It's every single label we can ever put on it, is that. So whatever label we put is already dwindling it down to something less.
Okay, God forbid you get a phone call today, somebody you love died.
Yep.
How do you deal with it? Are you just going to say, oh, it is what it is, we move on? What's the emotional, what's that process like for you to comprehend that?
There's two things that needs to happen. Do I need to do something? Yes? Go do it. Do I not need to do anything? Okay, then don't do anything. From there, that's the basis for pretty much anything. Now, what you're thinking is, are you going to get upset? Are you going to get sad? Are you going to get all this? In order to have that, there has to be a preference. There has to be, I like it or I don't like it. I've learned to let go of a lot of it, not entirely, So this is a person that's close, yeah. I'm going to feel some sadness.
Would you cry?
I don't know. Maybe.
When's the last time you cried?
When Jason from Human Garage came and stuck his finger up my mouth.
Yeah, but like cry from sadness.
There were pockets of time over the last one maybe 5 months or 6 months ago.
Okay.
And then there are some pockets of time over the last 3.5 years where I cried because I was sad about my sister passing away. I tried to fully surrender and see what's there and let it go. But there's not a strong emotional charge around it. It's not strong to where it's just like, because emotional charges come from when we are judging hardcore. I had to understand about how emotions, like how do people get emotions? It's there, but how do they generate? How come one person is emotional and the other one's not? Right? Emotions come because a person is judging something as good, bad, right, wrong. I prefer, I don't prefer, I agree, I don't agree. When they judge it, based on the judgments, the emotion comes. If I like something, emotional high. I don't like something, emotional low. Right? So then if we start to decrease that, the more we decrease it, the more the emotions decrease. We're not going to get rid of emotions altogether. That's not the idea. But imagine when the emotions don't take over us. And when they do take over, it's more of the positive, which nobody really complains about. People complain about the other. So now what happens is we're able to be more centered and more focused and more grounded. We're able to be more clear versus just all over the place all the time. But that happens because we're not constantly judging everything in our head. People are judging like a machine, constantly processing everything. What's the meaning of this? What's the meaning of this? What's the meaning of this? What's this mean? What's this mean? What does that mean? And then when they judge it, they have to put a label around it, a story about it. Somewhere along there, there's a judgment of, do I prefer, do I like, do I agree? Is this what I want? And there's only two outcomes, yes or no. I prefer, I don't prefer. Somewhere along that. And then that automatically creates an emotional outcome. So a person can't get out of this loop. But if we start to slow down that judgment, not judge unless we absolutely need to, now when we do it, we don't have to take it so personal. In business, we got to judge. Hey man, what do you think about this property? You like it or you don't like it, all right? Or this outcome, these metrics, is this what we want? You got to judge at some point. So it's not about not judging altogether. It's about doing it when it's needed.
Can I ask how your sister passed away?
Cancer.
How old?
So I'm 42. She was 1.5 years older. This was 3.5 years ago. So it's around like
41.
Yeah, about 41. Yeah.
So how do you make meaning of that? How do you digest that?
Well, that's the thing. See, when we're digesting and making meaning of it, we have to constantly think about ourselves. Right? How do I make meaning of it? So I have to think about myself. Now, what would happen if, let's say, imagine war breaks out, right? Which for some people, yes, welcome to my life. Would a person be sitting there constantly thinking about what do I like or dislike? Or are they sitting there focusing on where am I going to get my food? Where am I going to get my shelter? Where's the danger? They're not thinking, I prefer this, I prefer that. They're just paying attention to what's happening. They're just reacting, responding. They're not thinking about their preferences. They're not in their head making a problem because they don't got an opportunity to even do that. It's life or death. When somebody is racing, right? In Dubai, people are racing, they got all these cars. When you're driving 200 miles an hour, you're not sitting there thinking, I like this road or I like this car. Because if you do, you fly off. You're focused. Tunnel vision.
So you're saying ignore it?
You don't think Don't think about yourself. When we decrease that, there's not a constant meaning machine. You see, the idea, the idea seems crazy when you think about it at first, because nobody ever thought, and when I say nobody, it's people have, but many people haven't thought about the effects of that. It's like very normal to think about ourselves and our life and what we want or what we prefer. It's normal, right? It's my life. Of course, I need to think about what I want. If not, how do I know what to do? So it seems very natural. But if a person starts to connect the dots and they go, what is the biggest thing in your life that causes you issues? What's the thing that really stops you from creating the best life? And if a person really asks that question and they start to go down the list to the biggest thing, the biggest causation, it's always the same answer. Me. Damn, man, I'm the one that really, it's me. Okay. So you really want to succeed in life. So would you solve a small problem in your life, or would you just rather go for the big one? The one that if you were to solve that, all other problems are much less because you got the big one. You'd let go of the big one. And that big one is you. Right. Yeah. Oh yeah. If I can get myself out, man, I would create everything. Okay, cool. Well, let's talk about that. Now, let's look at that. And what I'm saying, if you don't think about yourself, then how can yourself get in the way of anything? Now we just need to connect those dots. We solved it. And now imagine when a person does that. They get themselves out of the way. Now they can fully express everything. All energy. They can do everything that they want to do to their best capacity. It's not that you'll know more than you know. You'll know what you know. But people know things and then they still don't do it. They have the skills and they still don't do it. They have the time and they don't do it. They don't do it because they get in the way.
Obviously, what you're saying is harder, like easier said than done.
Yes.
And even yourself, 5 months ago, you shed a tear because you're still also relapsing on that theory.
Yes.
You're also human.
Right.
You're also breaking through and you're thinking about yourself and you're crying and thinking,
Yes.
I wish my sister was here.
Right.
Not everybody could do that. I know my mum would not have the mental temperament to be able to do what you said.
So it's not about trying to be able to do it perfectly.
Uh-huh.
Nah. But imagine if a person was, people do have times in their life that they're not focused on themselves. They're not sitting there, what do I like? What do I like? What do I want? Because they're so focused on what they're doing that they're not thinking about themselves. They're just immersed in the action, in flow. But because they may not understand this concept, so therefore they don't even try to let go of constantly thinking about themselves and labeling everything because they don't understand this concept. So then therefore they spend less time in that flow. But they still have it. They still do it. People naturally do this. And what they'll say is, there are times to where time just kind of disappeared. I was really into it. I was really getting things done. I was really productive. Right, because you got yourself out of the way. And then the people that couldn't stay really focused, they feel frustrated. They feel like they're constantly hitting a wall because that wall that they're hitting is inside. And so on the outside, it looks like nothing's getting done because on the inside, they're stopping themselves from getting things done. Procrastination, self-sabotage, all unconscious, of course. So then imagine when a person can reduce just a small percentage of it, then the output increases. And then now if a person can reduce more of it, well, then more output. So then everybody wants to go and accomplish what they want. So it doesn't matter if they can do this perfectly. If a person just does a little bit, they've already increased their performance. Performance as in the way they talk, walk, act, express their desires, create what they want, not what other people, what they want. But they're able to get it more just because they got themselves out of the way a little bit. So then the idea is easier said than done. People can't even go there. They can't even create that if they don't know that's the goal to get to. You first have to go, okay, that makes sense. I understand. Now I'm going to aim for that. Now becomes the next stage. But if a person's not even aiming for it, I mean, they're not even going to, even if they have all the tools in the network and all that, they're not going to even go for it because they don't even know that is it. You see, they're not even on stage one. They're not even on step one because they don't even know they're not even aiming for it. So the first thing is, I want people to realize that's the thing. That's the thing. Mm-hmm. Everybody's in personal development on different ways. Yes. And when you go ahead and wrap your head around it enough, it goes to that. Mm-hmm. And then once it goes to that, it becomes, okay, now the next question, what do I need to do to accomplish that? Now we dive into practical, actionable, all that, right? Then we dive into all the challenges that you're going to run into. You're going to run into lots. Okay, no problem. Right. But then the first thing has to happen before all of those other things. If people are running into challenges, accomplishing that, great. That's like a person who's going, I'm having problems in my business. Well, congratulations. That person hasn't even started a business.
Well, yeah. I mean, pressure's a privilege.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So let's say somebody mastered your technique of dealing with grief, right? Don't we just lose our human touch? Don't we stop being human? Is that not ugly on humanity?
To say that we stop being human is to say that there's something that defines human. Who defined it? Who defined it? We are what we are. Why put a label around it to define it? To say that we are only that. Hey, you are an entrepreneur. Do you ever cook? Yeah. Well, then you're a cook. You ever share something that helps a person? You're a teacher. You ever clean the ground? You're a janitor. You ever fold the laundry? Oh, it just keeps going, right? We are everything. We are everything. You ever go ahead and tend a garden? Oh, you're a gardener. We are everything. And if we are everything, then every time when we judge, we are already very inaccurate. So we have to go ahead and judge in this way. At this moment, I'm acting like this, even though I am infinity. I am everything, but at this moment, I'm acting like this and acting like this, even though I am everything else. And we have to say for every moment that we're judging, hey, you're acting like this, even though I know that you are everything else, but at this very moment in this time, as I'm saying that, you are appearing to be this way, even though it's like trying to be accurate on it, because judgment in itself is just a very inaccurate thing, even though we do it for the sake of communication. Hey, man, this is beautiful. Well, actually, this is a combination of 50 different species with the... Yeah, I was just trying to mention that it's beautiful. You didn't have to dive into all the details. So sake of communication, let's judge. But when we take it personal, it's not just for communication anymore. It defines us. We are limiting ourselves. We put ourselves in a box. I can only be this way and I can't be any other. Hey, I'm really smart. So that means I can't do anything dumb that I consider dumb. Because if I do, I'm ashamed. I'm upset. I'm angry. So now it's kind of tough to go ahead and put yourself out there if you can't ever mess up. Well, then now you get in the way of fully expressing yourself, fully going out there, because you have a hard time not doing a good job. You have a hard time with yourself when you fail. Who made it that didn't fail? Who's making it right now and that still don't mess up? You look at the top people in the world. You think they do everything right and they don't mess up? I mean, they're messing up all the time, but they get up so fast, you can't even tell they fell. Right?
Do you have great friendships?
I think there's some good friendships. Yeah.
Are you friends with everybody that you grew up with since you were a kid?
I think if I reach out to them, everything is fine.
Everything is fine.
But do I stay really connected? I don't stay really connected to most people. I don't stay connected to most people. When we're really busy, it's like I can sit there and I can conversate with you on this, or I can focus on the business, or I can spend some more time with my son because he's there tugging on my shirt going, Daddy, can you play with me now? And it's the 5th time that I'm telling him that I'm busy. I'm starting to look like that guy, right? So, but the relationships, if I was to go and reach out or I see somebody, the relationship is good.
Is good.
Is good. I've done a lot of work and a lot of apologies, for all the ways that I behaved in the past that created conflict. So things are much better now.
Because in my heart, I have a hippie heart. Okay, but I live in a capitalistic world. I live in Dubai. I do business. I'm a business owner. I've got staff. So I live in a capitalistic world and I run my life capitalistically, but I've got a hippie heart. Okay, and everything you say makes sense to me, and for sure I get it. But would people that don't get it, maybe your friends or friends that you grew up with that didn't see your growth where you are today, would they? I want to know if they would look at you and say, "You're cold, man. That's a really cold way of looking at it."
I don't know. Maybe.
Nobody said that?
I'm sure there was. I mean, I don't remember right now, but I'm sure there are people that will see it that way. Yeah.
But then again, they're judging.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And it's okay. It's okay if people judge. Because people can do whatever they want. It doesn't matter for me. If they want to judge, if they want to do that, well, they can do it. Because we can and we should do what we want. If a person wants to judge, go ahead, go judge. You want to drink? Go drink. Go get drunk. Awesome. Right? But one day they may go, I just don't feel like doing it anymore. Okay, so you don't want to do that anymore. No. Okay, well, go do that. Go stop. So therefore, we're always free to go do what we want. We're always expressing ourselves. That's expression of life. That's freedom. Freedom is not, let me live this correct life. What's that? What's a correct life?
Okay, what about if a pedophile says, I want to have sex with children?
Go ahead. That is what is happening. You see? If you think, just like someone goes, I want to kill everybody. Go ahead. They do. People do. There's a reason why people do the things they do. To say that a person should not do what they want is to say that they're not supposed to have that desire, which is to say that everything that's happened in their life should not have happened because those things happen, it creates that desire. People are going to do what they want. And if someone goes, I want to kill a lot of people, but I know I shouldn't, then that means part of them want and part of them don't. A pedophile goes, I want to go and have sex with children, but part of me don't, but part of me do. It's still what they want. So, because if a person, it's almost like we're stating the obvious. Because that is what's happening. We're just stating the obvious. People are doing what they want. Anyways. You see? Because when they do something, it's because they wanted it. When they don't do something, it's because they wanted it to not do it. So it's almost like we're just stating the obvious, and giving people almost permission to do the obvious thing that is already being done. There are cause and effects to everything. So if a person is going to do something that creates effects to others that they don't want, karma is real. Karma is happening. Always happen. It'll happen with a thought. And so actions will imprint much bigger karmic effects.
But obviously, if somebody said to you, I want to go kill somebody, you would tell them not to.
Right, because that's what I want. I will go, no, and let me explain to you why. And if you're planning on doing that, then I'm going to do something that's going to disturb your plan because that's what I want.
Ah, got ya.
Yeah.
I'm going to play you a song. Do you know this song?
What will be, will be. When I grew up and fell in love.
I'm going to play from the beginning. It's a classic. It's basically your philosophy. What will be, will be.
When I was just my mother, what will I be? Will I be pretty? Will I be rich? Here's what she said to me. Que sera, whatever will be, will be. The future's not ours to see. Que sera.
Send me that. That's a good song.
I will.
That's a good song.
That's your philosophy. What will be, will be.
Yeah. And it's not my philosophy. I learned that philosophy. Years ago, I started to study more than just like regular personal development. I wanted to go to the extreme. When I looked at it, I'm like, what is the pinnacle of personal development? And I found enlightenment, nirvana, these liberation levels. That's like the ultimate personal development. Everything is kind of climbing towards it. And then when I started to look at how do people that are at that level or somewhere around there are pursuing that, how do they think? Why do they think that way? How do they see things? Why? How? What do they need to do to see it in that way? And over time, I started to understand. And this philosophy, what I'm talking about, is how that works. And on some points, when we look at the extremes, it may not feel comfortable, but it's because we're still judging things if we feel uncomfortable about it. Most people aren't going to want bad things to happen to people or to life. But the fact is, it's still happening and will happen regardless of what people want, because there's a nature to things. A nature to things, just like the song. What will be, will be. In order to make sense of it, we have to take a step back. And we have to go, well, there's this life, but what about before? Where do we really go when we die? And do we come back? Because there's a lot of beliefs around that, tons and tons of information around that. And this is becoming more socially acceptable as information becomes readily available on this. So we start to understand that we die, and then when we come back, we are choosing a life. We select a life based on what we need, based on the experience. We selected it because when we die and we head out of here, we don't bring anything with us. And anything that is here was just for the experience, the game of life, Gaia. And so therefore, or not Gaia, Gaia's planet, Leah. They call Leah the game of life. We come in as a game, which basically means it's a temporary experience. But then afterwards, when we head out, what we gain from this game, that thing that we gained is what we needed. That's why we came into this life. And the next time we come in, it might be a different life, or it might be something similar because we didn't fully execute what we could have experienced. We didn't fill it up completely, so we have to come in again. So then when we start to understand this, it starts to make sense on why certain people have it so good and why certain people have it so bad. On all levels. From how come this person is born with all these problems, with deformities, with parents that are just abusing them. It's just so sad. And then afterwards, it doesn't even get better. It's not even a hero story. They go and then they die. And it's a horrible death. And then this person has like this, this little Cinderella story. It's like, it's not fair. If we take a look at it very closely and we don't look at any other variables, then yeah, it doesn't seem fair. But as we start to extend out our viewpoint, we start to recognize there are other things at play and that this life isn't what it seems to be. It's not the only life. It's not the only experience. It's one of many, 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 many. And therefore, and the timeline is actually very short because what's infinity to 100 years? Time is also very different and relative in here versus other places. And people can even experience a difference in time. When somebody meditates, if a person's not meditating, 5 minutes feel like a long time. An hour feels like eternity. And so even here now, a person can do that and suddenly you experience time differently because the mind changes. So then now imagine that when we die and head out of here, how do we experience time? And what is said is that time there is much slower, or we can say 100 years here could be a couple months. So imagine we're on the other end, and I'm like, hey, Ron, I'll see you there. Yeah, see you there, man. We're not going to remember this, I know, but it's all good. But we're there, still having a conversation, still hanging out, and we're also here. Consciousness is split. And someone goes, wow, how's that possible? We do it every day. Right now, at this moment, we can take ourselves into Dubai. Now, I've only been there once, but I can imagine the city. I can imagine walking on the street. Whoa, there's a Ferrari, there's a Lambo. So part of our consciousness is there. And we can take more of it there to the point to where we are less present here because we're more over there, even though physically we are here, or vice versa. We can pay attention here and have less consciousness there. Consciousness is already split. Constantly, when a person is not fully present, it's because their consciousness is already in multiple places. And so at this moment, consciousness is already in a lot of places. So when we start to understand these things, now the way we see life is a little bit different. We don't be attached so much to everything here because we realize that in the bigger picture, this is a very short span of our actual life, and that things really don't matter as we appear they do. Now, when we understand that, we interact with life differently. But let's say not everybody learns that, or not everybody even wants to believe that. Okay. So then they go, things matter a lot. This is the only life. I'm going to go to a grave. Life ends. Conscience ends. That's it. Okay. That's what you believe. Okay. By believing that, it allows them to choose a certain way. It allows them to build and do things in a certain way. Why is it to where one person believes something totally different and another so different? Now imagine if they were supposed to. If everybody can believe what it is that I'm saying and go, all right, I'm going to live life that way, wouldn't it change what they do? Wouldn't people start to do things in a more similar way? Is that how it was supposed to be? Everybody has something specific that they need to do, a certain type of life. So therefore, even this concept should not and will not be adopted by everybody. I adopt this concept. And then by doing so, the way that I live, how I teach, it influences that. But then somebody else goes, yeah, no, that's BS, man. Whatever. So then now the way they live is entirely different. And maybe the way they do things is what they're supposed to do it that way, that outcome, because they didn't listen to what I'm saying right now. Because they were not ever supposed to listen. They were supposed to do things in that way to create that. I'm supposed to learn this, believe this, and create this. Everything is okay the way it is.
It's like you talk at the frequency that you talk at, and the people that are supposed to get it will understand, and the people that don't, they're not supposed to know.
They're not supposed to know, and that was all part of the plan. They weren't supposed to know. Because what they needed to do needed the fact that they don't adopt that way of thinking. That they go, this is the way, good. That's what you're supposed to think. And now someone can say that in an abstract way, or they can say, based on the conditions of their life, they will not ever adopt this. Based on the upbringing. Okay.
Religious.
Which is, yes,
whatever.
We can say that's the causation. Or we can say they weren't supposed to. It's all the same. Because when we're not supposed to, it's because they came in and through this life, through those upbringing, right, through all of the influences up to this point, it shaped what they would believe in, what they would get into and not. Plus all of their genetic makeup, the way their mind works, all of that supports the fact that they aren't going to listen to this. And that was supposed to be. Nothing was wrong with that. And the vice versa. Same for me. When I was a boy, I remember I was on my balcony. I remember I was sitting there and I thought about the concept of time. I'm a kid. And I remember thinking, going, if the earth disappeared, well, I thought if I die, would time still exist? Like, would things still happen? Yeah. right? That's like, okay, that was an easy yes for me. Then I said, what happened if all the people died? Like we're not here. Would things still happen? Time still exists, things will happen. I go, well, yeah, the animals. Then I go, well, what happened if the animals and the earth wasn't here? Would time still happen? Things still happen? I didn't know about all the other planets and everything. I was just thinking, well, I guess so. Like, would things still exist? Because I'm a boy, so I didn't know about, planets and stars and all this stuff. I just thought about that concept. But even at that age, I'm already questioning these things. I mean, I could be thinking about a lot of things. But these things, I was already interested. I was already interested in learning about myself. I started studying horoscopes as a kid, understanding about the year of the dog and what does that mean and what does the Sagittarius mean. I started to train. I started training martial arts. I was obsessed about training. Why would I be so obsessed on training? There could be a lot of other stuff I can be doing.
You're Bruce Lee reincarnated.
But yet that's what it was. So now when I'm training and I understand all these training things, I was supposed to.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So when I realized that, it's like, I know it's not me. Yes, I'm delivering what things are, but it's like a dog who's barking and go, yeah, it's me barking. Yes, it is you barking, but you're a dog. That's why you can bark like that. Because you're that type of dog. So it's you, but really it's not you. It's because you were born as that type of dog. And I'm born as this type of human.
The concept you're explaining to me right now, the meaning that I get from it is it all starts in our head. And if you fix this and you listen to everything, then there's a cloud of opportunity in the sky that you can tap into and get. So you'll say something to me, but I'm not supposed to be a millionaire, for example, and I'm not going to listen to it. But if I break that mental restriction or boundaries that I have for myself, then the opportunities are endless with anything, not financially, but anything.
Yes.
So it's up there. It's just fixing this to attach it, to grab it.
Yes.
That's what it is.
Yeah. Getting ourselves out the way. So now not everybody will be excited about being a millionaire. You ask somebody and they're like, no.
Correct.
But then there are some people like, whew, if I could.
Yeah.
But I can't because it's so tough. But if I could, yeah, I would be excited. Like that person, they'll get themselves out of the way and they'll go for it. While the other person who just doesn't even have a desire, like, no, even if I could, I don't want it. It's just, I don't want that type of life.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's fine.
Yeah.
Is everything pre-written?
That's where it gets interesting, right? Because then on one end, there's the question of destiny, pre-written, right?
Yeah.
Destiny.
Yeah.
And on the other end, there's free choice. They kind of collide against one another. So I thought about this concept and I'm like, I believe that there's free choice, but I also believe that there are destiny. There are things that a planned structure. So then how can we have both of these two concepts live in the same timeline? How can we have it exist at one point? Imagine this. At every moment, there are infinite possibilities. At this moment right now, we could be doing a lot of things. The sun is coming out. What can we do at this moment? We can move into the shade. We can sit there and take it. We can go, screw this, just jump in that pool. Who says we can't? We have all the skill sets and ability to do so. Infinite possibilities, and so much more we didn't even list. However, based on our desire, design, goals, what we want, based on our experiences of life, it already defined the possibilities down to a few. That the likelihood of us doing a couple possibilities, if not maybe just one, is very, really high. That is destiny. The fact that we can do anything. Open possibility, free will. So technically we can do anything at this moment. But you don't have a desire to jump in that pool right now.
But I could.
But you could. That's free will. Destiny, we're going to sit here and we're going to finish because that's destiny. Even though technically we can just jump in that pool. in hell with this conversation.
But then we're re-changing destiny. And is that a sin to God?
To sin, what is sin, right? If we say, like, what is sin?
Well, we break God's path. So we're accepting everything that God brings us. If we go out of our road to get something God doesn't want for us, I believe any man can take from us. But if we sit in our road and accept everything God gives us,
Even the concept of that has to be challenged because it doesn't make sense. God, right? If we look at that and we say, is God the creator of all things? Or no?
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
I asked the questions. Yes.
All things.
All things. Even this phone that was man-made, that man was made by God.
Even thoughts. Is that created by God? Desire. Is that created by God?
That's a good one. Yes.
All things that exist. Existence itself is God.
I have a driver in Dubai, and all he thinks about is not how do I become rich and not be a driver. All he thinks about is God. From morning to night, God, night to morning, God. That's all he says. That's all he talks about. That's all he thinks about, right? That was God's creature, and that was God's intention for that person to only have these desires and thoughts. That's my belief. Obviously, we don't know.
I believe that as well. Because is what's happening. So if it's what's happening, then it was meant to be.
Uh-huh.
And if it was meant to be, and God is the creator of all things, not just physical, all things, desire, intention, energy, all things. So then what things does not fall under God?
Nothing.
Nothing. So if God created all things, could God ever mess up?
No.
Because even the mess up was created.
There's a message in that. There's a reason for that. That's why it's so hard.
Even reason was created.
It's hard. My cousin passed away from cancer, brain cancer at 39. What's the reason on that? What's God's reason for that?
Even reason itself, the idea of reason, this thing because reason, this thing because even the concept of reason is created. Every single thing is under God. So therefore, if God created it all, that means all exist and should exist.
Uh-huh.
And when someone says it shouldn't exist, even a person who says it shouldn't exist, that person should exist to say it doesn't exist. That person's job was to say it doesn't exist and to conflict it and be upset about it. That also was created by God. So all things. So everything is supposed to be what it is. A person goes, I believe God is this. Good, you're supposed to. A person goes, I don't believe anything about God. Good, that you're supposed to. Someone goes, every single thing. So when someone goes, how do we operate in this? Because if you sin, okay, the idea of sinning is to say that it's not supposed to happen, that it was wrong. But wrong was created by God. All exists under God.
So there's no such thing as sin? Wow.
There's no such thing as there's no labels. Everything just is. You see, back to the same old thing from before. Everything exists. Everything is what it is. Because to say that something doesn't exist is to say that the creator of existence somehow messed up. When the idea of messing up is created by God. You see, everything that exists is beyond. When we start to take a stretch back, there is nothing that we can ever fathom that is outside of existence. Existence is consciousness, something that is there. If something is there, it's God. It was created by God. Nothing can fall under it or out of it which means anything that we can ever think of, label and not label, everything falls under God. So the only thing we can actually say after, when we really take a look at it, is all things is what it is. Now, let's say I'm going to remove this. I'm going to remove all of this type of, I don't like mosquitoes. They bite me and I itch like crazy. I'm going to take care of all the mosquitoes. I'm going to kill them all.
I'm for it.
Right? Okay. All right. So you do that. Why? And then let's say 10 years later, I got rid of all the mosquitoes. Right? Okay. Was that supposed to be? Yes. Why? Because I was created from God. And my ability, because I succeeded at that, that means I was supposed to succeed at that. That was my skill set. It's a hard thing to go and get rid of all the mosquitoes, but I did. So then was that supposed to happen? Yes, it was supposed to happen. Now, there's a consequence of that. And this consequence is supposed to happen. So all things
Still supposed to happen.
what's supposed to happen. It is what it is. Now somebody goes, I'm going to bring it all back. So in reality, nothing is ever wrong. Everything is happening. When we realize that, here's the cool thing that happens. We stop looking at things in a frame, in a box. Now, we start to let go of all the boxes and we go back into the thing that we actually care about, which is the thing that we want. People don't really care about just constantly judging every single thing and giving meaning to everything. They only do that because they are afraid. And so therefore they have to go ahead and try to wrap their head around every single thing because it makes them feel safe to understand everything. But once they understand this concept, that they don't need to go ahead and label everything because in reality, everything is fine. And that they themselves is perfectly good the way they are. Now, they can stop spending their energy on creating stories about everything, and then they can connect to what they really care about, what they're passionate about, and then go after that. If a person doesn't, it was supposed to be. But my design is to go ahead and encourage everybody to let that go and pursue something that has more fulfillment for them. That was my design. And so therefore that becomes my message that I constantly say. If a person doesn't do it, it's okay. But I will always have that as my underlying message.
So there's no hell or heaven.
There are places that are different. If we look at here, some people will call certain places here on earth to be hell. And if we leave, there are different places we leave to, different places that are determined by vibration. Just like how a fish can't be on the land, they have to go into the water. And so same thing. If we're in a certain energetic frequency, we can't go to certain places. We can't go there. When we're very high in frequency, we're able to move everywhere freely. When we are very low, we get locked out of higher frequency places. It's a way of seeing that even now. If a person has a very low status or they're not belong in certain elite groups, they can't even get into that place. It's happening now. It's happening on every level. Every level. From here to once we leave, it's always the same thing. These type of concepts are always existing everywhere, whether it's in the animal kingdom, whether it's the biology inside of us, or on a larger scale. It's always happening the same way.
So you're saying, based on our performance here, we could be reincarnated to a life that's more hellish than heavenly.
Yeah. And it's not always we do good and we don't have a hellish life. So it's not like that. Imagine more of, we need to have certain experiences that grow us. But what that experience is, we may say that's hell, or we may say that's hard. Like let's say you go, all right, I need to get stronger. What does that mean? You're going to go and start to train in fighting. What does that mean? You're going to get your ass kicked every day. You're going to be black and blue all the time. People are going to beat you up, lock you out, just ragdoll. You're going to be just put through their ringer. Now, what's the outcome? You become a different person. But what do you have to go through? You have to go through some hell, quote. But it was needed. And you openly says, yes, I want to do it. But does that mean you suffer less? No, it's tough. But now imagine that same thing. We are a soul and that we need to have a certain experience of life. So then we choose a certain path. Now, whether or not that's easy or hard, it's based on what we know we need. So then we go through it. And then when we go through it, we have to not remember all of the things that we know. Because if not, we don't have a full immersive experience. We can't have, it's all about the experience, but we can't have the experience if we understand that this is not real life, so to speak, that this is just temporary. I know everything else. It's like, so we have to have amnesia. We have to forget. So that's why when we talk about the personal development on higher levels, it's about remembering, not about learning. And you heard this before. Remember who you are. Remember. Why remember? Why not learn? Because when we remember, that's to say that we know infinite amounts of information already, but we have forgotten because we were supposed to forget.
It's an amnesia contract that our soul signs.
You can say that, yes. So then there are ways to remember by taking substances.
Oh, wow.
Because when we talk about remembering, what we're saying...
Like what? What substances?
You know all the plant medicines that people take? And they get these ideas, and they get realizations, and they see things and connect with things. They didn't learn anything new, but they were able to access more information because they were able to get a certain part of them out of the way so they can access the information that's always been there. So it's not about learning new. It's about, we can say remember, or we can say access certain information that they couldn't have access to. Imagine that right now, we get really, really, really angry. And then now we try to be creative about things. Can't access creativity. Not when you're so upset, right? We know how it's like. Same idea. So now afterwards, we feel inspired. We feel at peace. There's not pressure on us. Suddenly we can get creative and talk about all these creative ideas. It's based on, it's not learning more information. It's accessing more information. The access is dependent on energetic frequency.
What drugs do I have to take to access this? DMT?
So there's a handful, right?
What's number one? Psychedelic mushrooms? I've got a friend. I was telling your boy over there before. It was funny. I have a friend. When we do psychedelic mushrooms, he's got a English accent, like a really posh Queen's English accent, and he can't shake it off. And we're like, "Why are you talking like that?" He's like, "I don't understand what you mean." And he would sit there, you know, as I ponder and I think about, like, he would just complete English accent and everything just comes from nowhere. Was he an English person? Like, was he an Englishman from the 1910s in the previous life?
I'm not sure which will be the best. I can tell you that I've taken my share of mushrooms, you know, not just medicinal, yes, but the psychedelic for sure. You know, I've tried other plant medicines, the ayahuascas, you know, or the frog poisons like combo. And,
wow.
But they're good ways to be able to change our state and to access different states so that we know they exist. It allows us to unplug from ourselves, from our life. Now, a person can also do that as a way to escape their current reality. And if they do it as a way to escape, they're not really moving towards acceptance. Let me rephrase that. In reality, they might be moving towards acceptance, but their path is not very direct, which is fine. I can't say that every time when I'd done plant medicines that it was to get deeper within myself and that it wasn't an escape, because in reality it was. There are many, many times where I was doing plant medicines where I wanted to go and tell myself that I'm doing it so I can connect in, but really I just didn't like life. I didn't want to be in that moment of life, in this situation, doing these things. I want to exit out and feel good and feel this nice feeling of liberation and play. I wanted that feeling because I don't want this feeling. Now, it's been years now, but if I didn't have those escape moments, would I still be the same person I am today? No, not that I would know of. I would believe I would probably be a little different. So even those escape moments were needed to be who I am now. So that's why so they can try it. If you want to drink, you want to drink. You want to smoke, you want to take this, do that. Because that's what you desire. Because we don't know how those things are going to support your future. So therefore we can say, if you want to do it, do it. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. And if a person is wanting something, but then they don't allow themselves to do it, they usually run into this resistance on the inside. And then they end up on their deathbed going, I wish I could have, would have. No, do it.
You mentioned plant medicine. Is marijuana part of plant medicine?
Plant medicine is just the label, right? It's a label of saying. So,
I want to know if marijuana can connect you and make you remember the previous.
They all have different frequencies. They all have different effects. There were times to where marijuana was a great way to unplug for me. It really was. And then there are times to where marijuana dropped me down. I remember clearly when that happened. And I was smoking a lot. I was smoking like a chimney. It was like ungodly amounts.
Cheech and Chong.
Yeah. You know, I mean, I remember I would smoke, do a breath retention. I'd hold my breath. And then I would sit there and I would do pull-ups.
Oh, wow.
Breath hold. And then I would come down and then I would exhale.
Wow.
So no judgment for anybody who's smoking. I know how it is. And it's hard for me to stop. I mean, I've done so much smoking. During those times, it was a way to unplug. It was a way to experience life. And I wanted to experience life differently. And I didn't know how to do it without it. So I used it. I remember when I was at a vibration that was higher than marijuana. I was at a state to where marijuana, being high, dropped me down. I clearly remember because I would think that I'm used to this habit, and then I will smoke, and then I would feel worse. I will feel pressure. I will feel less expansive. And then I realized, why did I smoke again? I wanted to feel better, but actually I felt better without it. And I remember after enough of those, I started to not smoke. And then I would test back. I remember there were times where I would still try just in case. Maybe now it's different. No. After enough of being dropped down with smoking marijuana, I just stopped. Because it wasn't lifting me up anymore. And I remember there were times with mushrooms where same thing. I remember when I would take mushrooms and I'll feel almost exactly the same. And there are times where I take mushrooms and I drop down. And I'm like, this is when I know it's time to move on.
But my question is, instead of doing it for, escaping the time, escaping whatever you're going through, do these drugs unlock memories from previous lifetimes? Specifically marijuana, because I think mushrooms does.
It's hard. I don't think there's one substance that we can say this one substance has this effect. So, when we dive into the effects of substances, oftentimes it's said the journeys are very different. They're different. Every time is like a new journey, a new experience. I believe that to be very true. It was true for me. Certain ones are more true on that than others. On mushrooms, they felt a little more similar. Ayahuasca, very different.
Yeah.
Smoking was a little more similar for me. But I can't say that if you take this, you're going to access before lifetimes.
No.
For some people, it's something that they connect to. And for others, it doesn't connect. I remember when I took 3 hits of acid before moving to Bali, and I was experiencing the knowingness, the takeaways of multiple lifetimes. Boom. Oh, boom. Wow. Boom. And I remember like after the sixth one, it's like you can't even try to put into words because by the time I try to even think, this was a very big realization for me. When I even had a realization, just aware of myself having that experience, I already dropped. I had aware of myself, I dropped. I had aware of myself, being aware of myself, I dropped. I had a thought, I dropped. By the time that I even tried to put meaning, tried to even come up and identify it, I dropped multiple levels. And then I started to step back because I noticed that my awareness shrunk down. It's like, doom, 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 doom. And before I was like just amounts of knowing and freedom and liberation. Suddenly, and I'm just here. Everything just feels similar, grounded. Not this expansive was gone. I was like, whoa, what just happened? And I remember letting it go. Okay, let me just breathe, relax. And then suddenly I'm floating back up to this expansive knowingness of everything is fine. And then I had a realization that I was having this experience. I dropped. And then realizing I dropped again. And then when I had a thought, I was like already like 7, 8 levels dropping lower. And I did this over and over and over, going up, down, up, down, up, down, until I realized that it wasn't about thoughts. Thoughts didn't decrease our awareness. The awareness of ourself decreases our awareness. That was the takeaway.
Got ya.
That experience gave me that lesson, but it didn't mean I was able to do it. But since that night, I aimed at letting go of my awareness of self, but I couldn't do it until years later. So that's why it's like plant medicine, psychedelics, they're powerful. They're powerful, and people can use them for making change. But they really want to make it really, really impactful. Have the intention of change. I saw these old pictures, and I found a video that I recorded over 10 years ago, the night that I experienced that awakening where everything shifted. I found the video literally like a few nights ago. It was just all black, this video. And it was like, one was like 10 minutes, the other one was like 15 minutes. I'm just like, it's like just murmuring, just dry throat. And then I also found some other pictures, and I found this one picture. I'm standing on this rock, in a Enchanted Rock in Austin. And there are certain events that just changed everything. That event was also one of them, because I was on mushrooms that time. That was like my second time taking mushrooms. And I remember I felt how it was like to be fearless on these giant boulder rocks where it was in the middle of the night. I used to be afraid of the dark, and I was crawling around on this rock like a panther in the middle of the night, and no fear. Imagine like moving and doing things. Like I was climbing and jumping on these rocks and doing all this stuff without any fear, any concern, not being careless, but just no fear. No, what happened if this? There was no what happened if this. There's just, you can do it, so I do it. And just moving around that rock and just connecting to the earth and connecting, that level of freedom, so liberating. And then the next day, I walked, me and my friend, we looked at this rock that was far away and said, let's go there. Yeah. So we just walked there. There was very far. There was a 3-hour walk. You ever look at a place, I'm going to go over there. It wasn't like a trail. We just walked there. We walked there. And afterwards, when we came back, we decided to go another route. Long story short, we got lost in this massive park. Rescue team, helicopter, trucks, everybody is vested, flashlights. There were like 7, 8 people suited up and ready to get us when we got back at 10 p.m. at night. We left at 11 a.m. We were gone the whole day. They said, these guys are lost. We were. The whole rescue team was about to come back. We made it back, finally. Just tracking our way, found this house, got this ride. Those experiences that day was like so impactful. It allowed me to know how it's like to actually live without fear, act without fear. Up until then, I don't even know. we could talk about the concept, but I never actually did it to what I can remember. That day was a pinnacle experience because I was able to actually experience it, do it. The level of liberation and that, and going back to the subject, that was from mushrooms. That night when I'm crawling those rocks, I was on mushrooms. No fear. The next day, the mushrooms were still there. I didn't take any more, but the effects were still there. And there was this level of freedom, whatever I wanted to do. I remember I'm going off the side of the rock that looks like a straight drop, and I'm sliding on the side. Like, you know, the stuff that you see people do, like they're really good at.
Yeah.
I was just doing it, but I've never done it before. And I'm just doing it.
Yeah.
Like things that I would.
I've got a similar story where I was with a girl for 8 years and I was engaged to her and she broke up with me like that, no warning. And I went 1 month microdosing mushrooms, psychedelic mushrooms in my coffee shot in the morning. And that saved me. I was thinking to myself, the feeling of like not having to think of somebody else. I feel so free. I don't have to think, did she get home from work? Is there dinner at home tonight? Is she doing this? I don't have to think about her anymore. And that really helped me heal and be able to get over a very hard breakup.
Yeah, 8 years.
Yeah, 8 years. Yeah. So that was that similar story where it was like when you're sober, you're fearing it. Like you feel like you're coming out of the shower with no towel. You're wet. You're outside. You feel like you're bare. Your life partner's not there. But then with mushrooms, day by day, I felt liberated. I felt free, and it really helped me go through that process.
How was it like when you stopped? Because I was up for about a month of that. And then how was it when you stopped?
You know, I can't remember anything drastic, but it was microdosing. I was doing a little bit in my coffee shot in the morning.
Did you, how did you put it in the coffee? Well, what form?
Like it was the actual mushroom, it was powdered. So then it was, so my beans were grinded.
Yep.
And then I love my coffee, so I grind my beans and stuff like that. And then I mix the mushroom in there.
The powdered.
The powder.
Yeah. Okay, so the mushrooms are dried, then you powderized it.
And then put it in the mixture of the coffee.
So then the hot water goes through it.
Probably not the best way to do it. There's probably better ways, but that's how I did it.
It worked.
Yeah, it worked.
Yeah.
It worked.
Nice.
Probably a very wasteful way, but that's okay.
Nice.
So, yeah, so I know what you mean. I know what you mean. When you do that, it removes all the fear. I appreciate you giving me your time today. Appreciate having this conversation. You know, I'm from Dubai, and a lot of people in Dubai, like the friend that I brought over the other day, that you met her, you know, they're stuck in a rut in Dubai where they feel like they're on like a hamster wheel. The next commission check, the next promotion, the next opportunity, the next networking event. They prioritize their health, their sleep, everything like that. I'm one as well, where you just kind of run in Dubai. And it's you know, it's because there's so much opportunity, okay? If you go to a buffet, it's like going to a buffet of opportunity. You're not going to stop. You're gonna prioritize that over your health and diet and sleep, right? But then you lose yourself, right? And then at what cost? So before we end things, I want you to speak to those people because there's millions of them. And I want you to give them some advice because I know they'll be watching because predominantly my audience is Dubai based. Yeah, I think they need to hear it the most.
Do what you want. Still the same. There are people that go, you know, Mike, I like what you're sharing. I think it's great. But I feel like, you know, I'm doing the right thing. I'm in the right place. I need to chase after these deals and make it happen. Good. Go for it. Good. Keep going for it. Now, there might be some people that go, I relate to you and man, I'm ready to change things up. I'm ready to change. Good. Go for it. Not everybody's supposed to be ready all at the same time. If a person wants to change, don't stop yourself. That's the underlying thing. Don't stop yourself. If you want to change, change it. But if you don't want to change, don't. Don't let go. Keep grinding it out. Even if you're stressed, even if you're breaking down, keep going. Because you don't want to change, don't. Always do what you want. Always do what you want. Because there are people that go, I'm ready to change. But if you're not ready, then you're not supposed to change. Then don't. It's such an easy formula when we think about it.
Yeah.
Go after what you want, and who cares what it is? Because you always have the right to change at any moment of what you want. And when that happens, go after what you want.
And if you're asking this question and you want the change, it means you're becoming more receptive to hearing that frequency of making the change.
Yes. Or you're dealing with enough pain and suffering and you're tired of the pain and suffering. Because people that are grinding it out, they're suffering. They are in pain. But some people can tolerate more. Some people are okay with the pain. Some people have been tolerant for long enough or just have a lower tolerance and go, no, I don't want it. So, but they are. When you're hustling, oh yeah, you're in pain. But some people are okay with it. For those people that don't want that pain anymore, here's what you need to do. Number one, gotta do the 3 things. Right, the 3 things is actually what you need to do. Outside of that, then there are other things, but the 3 things are foundation. And it's always so simple. Start to move your body. Moving your body isn't just exercise. Moving your body means giving your body really what it needs. The movement that person needs. You need to be strong. You need to be mobile. You need to get rid of tension. People that are working hard, they're really tense. Got to get rid of the tension. Silence the mind. Meditate. Okay. There's no way to silence the mind. You got to be able to meditate. Once you learn how to meditate, you're able to silence your mind with your eyes open, doing things. But before that, you got to close your eyes and meditate to be able to open your eyes and still meditate. Do that. That's movement. B, eating. Nutrition, there's only a simple thing. Stop eating so much. Keep your system empty and clear. This way, more circulation can happen. The problem is not people are malnutritioned. The people is opposite. You have too much nutrition. Stop eating so much. Reduce it and make it simpler. Cut it out at night. Sleep on an empty stomach. Don't worry about what people say is healthy. Don't worry about what the news and media say it's healthy. See how your body responds. If it's healthy, your body's breaking it down and absorbing it. If your body's not breaking it down, doesn't matter if other people say it's healthy. It's not working for you. At least not this moment. Sleep, get more of it, and increase the quality, which just means relax when you go to bed. If you go to bed and you're not relaxed, then you're not able to rest. You just go unconscious and then you become conscious when you wake up. But the resting part, it's not happening much. That's why people can go to sleep and wake up unrested. If they do these 3 things, the amount of emotions that they're dealing with, the issues that they have, all decrease. Not because of the issues, but because they increase in their ability to handle more stress, handle more challenges, more clarity, more creativity, more energy. So obviously things get done easier because they become a higher state. Everybody needs to do that and make it easy to do that. Don't make it hard. Make it easy. That's the key. Because when people realize this and they do, the challenge becomes, how do I consistently do these things on a daily basis? And the answer is make it so easy that it becomes very effortless. Set up your environment, your physical environment, your house, your car, your office, the place where you live. Set things up, your circles of people. Set things up to support you on those 3 things. And when those 3 things are supported, a person's in a higher state. They can handle everything better. That's what needs to happen. That's what people need to do. They don't need to go and focus on the fancier things. They need to focus on how to make those 3 things easy. We have a chef. I didn't always have a chef. I used to go and cook every Sunday. 90 minutes, I can cook my whole entire week of food. I was fast because I've been cooking since I was like a very young age. Bulk cooking. At 14, I'm already starting to bulk cook. At 16, I had my own place. I'm buying my groceries. I'm bulk cooking already every weekend. Make it easy. If somebody can afford a chef, get a chef. If you want to go and get the meals together, whatever it is, make it so easy that it becomes hard to fail. Do that for those 3 things, and then everything starts to improve. And then from there, the subjects that we talked about becomes more important. But if they're not doing these 3 things, the subjects, they can't do it because the fundamental foundations are not taken care of.
If you're ready to hear this frequency, I I hope you learned something.